So guys, look, generally there's a lot of news, and generally a lot of it we don't get to cover. I know I said generally a lot. Update to the channel coming in the next day or so with what we've planned for 2018, and you guys might really like it. I'll give you a sneak peek. Live show. But moving along. But yeah, basically what's happening in Australia at the moment is there is a problem with African gangs, or depend on who you're asking, there's no problem whatsoever. White Caucasian Australians just seemingly happen to be falling downstairs a lot. While Africans look, maybe. But yeah, a lot of white Australians have been attacked by African gangs, or falling downstairs, depending on what you like to believe. And at the end of the day, a lot of the Aussies are fed up with this. Now, I'm going to try and be non-partisan in this, but it's really hard for me because this is something that actually affects me, it affects people I know, and it affects my country. So let's try and break it all down. So fair warning, if I'm partisan in this article and I'm not non-partisan media, you understand why. About a week ago or 2 weeks ago, there was a series of crimes that happened in Sydney. One of the things from what I've heard was there were a group of African gangs, a gang of Africans who went along the beach and attacked some white Australians. The Australian response to this was a riot, and basically a whole bunch of Aussies went down later that night and decided to confront the African gang that was causing the problem. Now, also, we've had a lot of problems with the Vietnamese at the time, who have been in a sort of cold war of sorts with the African gangs. Vietnamese shop owners are going through, they're too scared to actually go through and to run businesses because they've been attacked by African gangs. Their patrons have been attacked by African gangs. I will do another video on all this sort of stuff, but this is just to give you some of the highlights. So, basically in response to this, the Australians have turned around and said, enough of this shit, we're taking back our country. And this is planning on happening in Melbourne, and I think there also might be one in Sydney too, I'm not quite sure. But yeah, the biggest one at the moment is happening in Melbourne. I know people from Melbourne. I've spent time in Melbourne, not saying where I live at the moment, but at the end of the day, yeah, I have people in Melbourne who are very close to me or that I've known who are afraid to leave their house at night because of the African gang problems. So, yeah. Now, to the point where the Aussies are actually planning on holding a protest on the 5th of January, and if anybody would like to attend, please do attend peacefully. Please wear a body cam or some sort of recording footage, because that way when the Africans attack you, you can then upload it to YouTube, because we know what's coming. And we'll get to that in a sec. But let's go through the article. Fears of Cronulla-style riots as far-right groups, I'll get to the far-right part in a sec, vowed to say no to gang-bashing Aussies and plan to protest to take back Melbourne. So, nationalist Trubel crew planning on launching rallies at St Kilda and Melbourne, being held for a month after 20 Africans youths allegedly bashed, robbed 3 men. Far-right groups have capitalised on this spate of crimes involving black youths. It has echoes of Sydney's December 2005 Cronulla riots, which lasted 2 days. So the Cronulla riots were actually something that happened with the Lebanese community. The rumour is that a small group of Lebanese went along the beach. They picked a fight with one of the white Aussies, who I think was a beach lifeguard at the time. And after that happened, after they beat him and everything like that, the Aussies then went on and had a huge brawl with the Lebanese culture. It did last for 2 days. I did have people that were from the Lebanese, friends in the Lebanese community, who were afraid to leave their house during Sydney. And I also had others that were going to go, yeah, we're going to go down and beat up some Aussies. To which my response was, you're an idiot. But moving along. Melbourne could see a repeat of Sydney's 2005 Cronulla race riots, with far-right groups vowing to stage a beach rally against African gangs. True Blue crew is planning on demonstrating at St Kilda's beach a month after 20 black youths allegedly bashed and robbed 3 men there. Well, no, there's no allegedly about it, okay? We know they did it, but moving along. The far right, yeah, okay, group's lunchtime rally planned for the 5th of January has echoes of Cronulla riots in December 2005, where white nationalist groups, really, violently targeted Lebanese Australians visiting the Sutherlandshire beach from West Sydney. Now, it's funny in this article, it is the Daily Mail, so it's going to be less, you know, left-leaning, but still, they're considered right, but still getting things wrong. They don't mention there about the Lebanese who originally attacked the beach guard. So, interesting how they've left that out, but moving along. It's time to say no to gang bashing's Aussies, the True Blue crew has told its 1,532 Facebook followers. The United Patriot Front and other similar national groups late last year clashed with African youths at St Kilda Beach, with far-right leader Neil Erkinson confronting and filming black teenagers kicking a soccer ball around a football and playing music before police intervened on a Friday night. Not exactly what happened, was it? Yeah, you're sort of living out the major point here. He was walking along, he turned up to the beach, sure. But what was the point where he turned up before that? What exactly did he do wrong? Because I've seen that footage. He is basically recording them, talking to them, and they're threatening to beat him up. He's not doing anything but recording and talking to and confronting them about the violence. And what are they doing? They're threatening to beat him up. So, yeah, interesting, isn't it? But moving along. I do actually have that recording, and like I say, another video coming about the African gang problem. True Blue's crew New South Wales branch also plans on capitalising on the state of African gang crime in Melbourne, encouraging its followers to travel to Victoria to protest. Okay, so that's where the Sydney thing comes in. In early December, 20 African youths at a St Kilda allegedly bashed and robbed 3 men on Saturday night, leaving 1 victim unconscious. So the Trubel, 19, was charged over his alleged involvement in an all-in brawl on the tourist-heavy foreshores of Melbourne's St Kilda Beach. He was also accused of assaulting officers, making threats to kill, and possessing marijuana. Lovely fat chap, but anyway, 3 men were allegedly ambushed by the rioters group before 1 was knocked unconscious and robbed. So, 3 men were allegedly ambushed by the rioters group before 1 was knocked unconscious. What you mean to say was 3 men were attacked by the group of African gangs where 1 of them was knocked out unconscious and was then robbed. They stole his cell phone and his wallet, I believe. After Christmas, a gang of African youths stormed Chelsea Beach in Melbourne's southeast before allegedly smashing a glass bottle over a teenager's head. We don't have an alleged happening. We know it did happen because we've seen it. Okay, we've seen the footage of the glass bottle. We've seen the cuts to the youth and everything like that. He clearly had a glass bottle smashed over his head, okay? Like, anyway. Assaulting multiple swimmers and stealing their wallets. This is what led up to the riots down... So it was in Melbourne, sorry, I thought it was in Sydney. Shortly before Christmas time, this time in St Albans in Melbourne's northwest, African youths from Blood Draw Kill gang robbed and harassed shop owners for their customers. The shop owners are talking about a Vietnamese. They don't want to mention that because at the end of the day, they want to try and make it out that it's all alt-right. It's not. These youths that attacked the shop owners, these were Vietnamese shop owners. They weren't even Australian. These were African gangs who went through and attacked normal people with everyday lives who wanted to run a simple business. By the way, I'm pretty sure the Vietnamese now are siding with the Patriots. So this is going to get interesting. On Christmas Eve, a 46-year-old man was hospitalized with cuts to his face after African youths allegedly attacked the Song Hon Vietnamese restaurant on Ethe Street. Once again, not alt-right, are they? They can't exactly be alt-right, but moving along. The previous day, 20 youths armed with baseball bats threw tables and chairs and Patriots outside the KMD kitchen next door. Anyway. On December 19th, there was another attack in the area which led to an alleged juvenile gang member being charged with robbery and assault. Far-right groups are targeting African gangs in Melbourne 13 years after similar nationalist groups target Lebanese Australians in Sydney Cronulla Beach. So at the end of the day, you now have the victim narrative of, oh my god, these Australians, these white nationalist groups targeting these Africans, but they didn't do anything wrong. Mention the previous list that is over a page long of all the times the Africans have attacked the Aussies. Is there any wonder why the Australians have had enough of this shit and are starting to fight back? Is there any reason why the poster for this riot or this protest, and let's face it, we know what's going to happen, is literally take back our streets? Is anybody surprised this is happening? Because it feels like I've been saying and warning to the police department and to everybody for years, this shit is going to happen. Admittedly, I thought it was going to be America or the Europe that kicked it off, but apparently it's us Aussies. We're going to show you guys how it's done, apparently. But let's keep going. This led to 5,000 mainly young men rioting for 2 days following clashes between lifeguards and Lebanese visitors from Sydney, Western Sydney. Yes, because the Lebanese beat up an Australian lifeguard who was patrolling the beach. This guy was doing absolutely nothing but his job. But apparently they decided to beat him for it. Moving along. Okay, so look, at the end of the day, what's my view, what's my takeaway on all this? Look, I'm going to do another video on the African gang problem that we don't supposedly have here in Australia. But let's jump into this part. I don't want there to be a riot. I've got to say that legally. But I know what's going to happen. The Aussies are going to turn up. The Africans are going to turn up like they did to Milo's event. Big sock. The African gangs apparently were the ones that turned up to Milo's Melbourne event and started this shit. Although the police department seemingly wanted to arrest the Aussies. You know, that white privilege really came into play, I suppose. But yeah, Melbourne is going to have a race war. It is going to have another race riot. I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it because, you know, like, holy shit, it's fucked up when this shit happens. But this is what's been brewing for a while. And this is what happens when you get two cultures who seemingly want to coexist into a melting pot. This is your open borders theory. This is everybody come, everybody be free, you know, everybody can coexist. No, they can't. No, it doesn't work. This is your melting pot in absolute spectacular failure. And I don't blame the Aussies for doing this. I really don't. I don't see... Why wouldn't they? They can't literally walk down a street in Melbourne without African gangs wanting to beat them. And what does the Victorian Police Department do about it? They arrest the Aussies. They've arrested a few of the Africans, but that's after so much media press. They've been forced to do something about it. Meanwhile, less than 6 months ago, we had the Victorian and the New South Wales Police Department saying there's no problem with African gangs. African gangs have no problem in Australia. We don't have that issue here. Really? Because at the end of the day, it seems like we might have an African gang problem. And I'm really not surprised the Aussies want to, quote, take back their streets. Hell, if I wasn't working, I would be going to this as a bystander to record or write in a poll or ASIO or whatever, or JICAR, whatever you want to call yourselves, you know, that special government branch that just doesn't get a lot of press, who seemingly want to go through and arrest all the people who are patriotic or religious, but they only target the right. They don't target the left. Figure that one out. But yeah, like I say, look, at the end of the day, I'm not surprised the Aussies want to do this. And look, I'm not going to say I support it. Legally, I can't say that. But I will be doing a story about this, so expect a story Saturday night. Late Saturday night, but the story Saturday night. Because I will be recording this and covering it for the news. But yeah, I really can't blame anybody. And like I say, look, anybody who turns up to this. Blair Cottrell is talking about going. Here it is here. Extremist new threat. Right-wing groups in Australia have ASIO's attention. Right-wing groups promise to unleash Cronulla-style riots on Melbourne this weekend on the National Intelligence Agency's radar. Fear of threat posed by a new breed of homegrown extremists. You mean patriots? Patriots that are sick of their country being overrun by migrants. Sick of Australians who can't walk down the street because they're afraid they're going to get beaten by a group of African gangs. That's who you mean are extremists, right? So like I say, guys, if you turn up to this event, if you plan on going to this event, take body cam footage. Put a GoPro video camera on you or something. Have it record the whole thing. And that way, when the ASIO try and arrest you, you can show them that you didn't. Hell, upload the video to YouTube and I'll use it in my video. Alright? Upload the whole clip so it's not being selectively edited. And I'll go through and I'll use it and I'll point out the African gangs. But like I say, look, yeah, guys, definitely take some videos. Definitely record everything. Make sure you upload it to YouTube before you give it to ASIO or anything like that. Because chances are that video is going to get deleted. But yeah, I fully expect that this is going to end up being a riot. And I can't blame the Aussies for doing it. I can't blame the Vietnamese for doing it. People are sick of African gang problem in the country. And the police department is not doing it. So the Aussies, we're going to take care of it, I suppose. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If this video has been helpful, please smack a like. If you're new, channel welcome and subscribe. Apart from that, guys, I'll see you in the next demonetized video from YouTube. Have a great day and enjoy.